Yeah, so this is why my short videos or my videos are of me and my son talking are so important. And it may be a little bit confusing on the information that I'm giving in the videos, but basically the videos compare to the case file and the paperwork that was filed in Shasta County Superior Court and the conversations, I guess, or the discussions that we were having in court proceedings. Okay, so I just posted a little video on Facebook of my son Jace talking about him talking to his mom a week before of this date right here. Which is January 28th. And he was basically saying that she wouldn't answer the phone, she wouldn't call him and call him back, and she wouldn't let him talk to his brother and sister. Okay, and that was the biggest concern for me and Jace for 6 months. Was basically Jackson Ava couldn't use the phone to call him or me. Okay, there was no restraining order. There was no reason, no legal reason whatsoever that my kids couldn't use the phone. Okay, the reason why they couldn't use the phone to call me anymore was because they were getting abused at Kendra's house. And that's the bottom line. And this court and Judge Gibson freaked out and basically wouldn't let my kids use the phone or to call me or their brother. Now, even if there was any reason that I wouldn't be able to talk to him, they should still be able to talk to Jace regularly. And Kendra wouldn't answer the phone. Okay, so the video of me and Jace, he asked if he could talk to his brother and sister, and she said no. That's because Kendra didn't have Jackson Ava with her at that time. Okay. The other thing is that Jason was controlling her environment and controlling the kids and abusing the kids, and that's why Jace didn't want to live there. Okay, so in this declaration, this is January 28th. Okay, this is when Jason threatened us with a gun and almost killed my kids. Okay, now this is the connection between the judge who's overseeing this case and Shelley Morgan and Kendra and Jason. They're all talking together, and they came up with this plan basically to take my kids away from me. Okay, and let me explain, or let me show you what I mean. Okay, this is a declaration that is supposed to be filed on Kendra Snyder's behalf. Okay, when you start going through these declarations, you'll realize that they're not filed by Kendra. It doesn't sound like Kendra, but not only that, it's they use a lot of legal terms, and I highly doubt that Shelley Morgan wrote this up for Kendra and then Kendra signed it. I believe that this is from Judge Gibson, and there's connections in between the declarations and the court orders that were being filed, and I'll show you right here. Okay, so it says right here. And this is me. Okay, this is me. He told him not to get out of the fucking car, that he was not to fucking leave me, and that he was to fucking stay with his brother and sister. Jace and I were both scared and confused. Mr. Snyder's behavior has become increasingly hostile, threatening, and bizarre. I drove to the gas station and called the Anderson Police Department. They spoke with Jace, who told them he was scared of his father and he did not want to go back to home. The APD officer instructed me to keep Jace even though there were court order because he had informed them that he was scared. Okay, now this is important. Okay, because Anderson Police Department's getting a different, getting told something different by the court, and the fact is that me and Jace were talking to Anderson Police Department for days, months before this. And I was calling Anderson Police Department all the time. That's the recorded phone calls that I have between Anderson Police Department and me as well. And what they're being told is basically that they can't do anything about what this case, or can't do anything about the abduction because of a current court order. Okay, well, the judge controls that court order. He controls the custody of my kids at this time, right? So if they can't arrest Kendra and Jason for abduction, or they can't arrest Judge Gibson for abduction, then they can't do anything when I call and ask him for help, right? Okay, well, Jace was talking to Anderson Police Department prior to this, and in the video, Jace's own testimony, he says that he was talking to Anderson Police Department and they told him that his mom needed to bring his younger brother and sister to the visit so that he could see his brother and sister. That was a week before this date, okay? That was on January 21st. That video was on January, probably 22nd, right after this Jace couldn't get a hold of his brother and sister, okay? So the video correlates with this case and correlates with this declaration. Now, what this declaration is saying is nonsense. It's complete nonsense. I never screamed and yelled and fucking stay in the car. Like, this is what Judge Gibson does to make me look like a bad person, and he's been doing it for 7 years. For 7 years, this person has basically tried to make me out to be this abusive person and crazy person, right? That doesn't, that has no control over himself and has no respect for authority. All that's just nonsense. That's Judge Gibson trying to handle or trying to hang on to this case. Okay, the fact that that in this statement it says that she drove to the gas station and talked to Anderson Police Department and they told her to keep Jace. That would never happen, dude, because I was talking to Anderson Police Department almost every day, and I called Anderson Police Department right before this visit and told them to be cautious or be aware that Jace is with his mom and that we haven't seen his brother and sister for months. Okay. Now it says here, I took Jace back home with me. When we got home, I asked him if he wanted what was going on, if he was scared of his dad, and whether or not he wanted to stay with me. His response was, "No, I just want to stay for one night." Now, this is where it starts getting interesting and starts getting really bizarre. Okay, Judge Gibson, he's trying to control a narrative, right? And the narrative is that that he granted Kendra custody of the two youngest kids for a reason. But I have full custody of my oldest son at this point. So there's a court order for that. Okay. So if I was a threatening and bizarre to my children and to my ex-wife, then why would it be okay for Jace to only stay one night? Okay. It doesn't make any sense, right? But not only that, but Jace didn't want to stay with his mom. And I have phone calls from Jace that night and text messages from Jace that night that Jace was basically found his brother and sister and locked himself in the bedroom and was called 911. Okay, so this is done after that night, right? This is written up and filed in the courthouse after that night. Now it says right here, just want to say one night, due to the allegations Jacob and Jace have made against my fiance, Jason Lord, in the past, we did not believe that it was a good time, an idea for Jace to stay at our home. They filed a restraining order against me and took my oldest son, Jace, and then Jason didn't fucking want him at the house, dude. So my son ended up having to stay somewhere else, and he kept running away. So it's like, why would you file for a restraining order for me? And then Jason and my son Jace don't get along. They hate each other. And so Jason basically doesn't want him there. And so now you've displaced my son, Jace, who wants to live with his dad, right? You have a social worker that makes up some bullshit report against me. You have me arrested 7 months after my kids, come up missing, right? And Jason doesn't want him at the house. Okay. And because they don't get along and they fight, and because Jace always sticks up for his brother and sister and tries to help his brother and sister. Okay. So this night right here, this day is the day that that Jace called 911 because Jason threatened us with a gun, threatened him and his brother and sister with a gun, threatened to shoot him in the face. Okay. And this judge is aware of that. And he writes up a declaration to justify his decision from before. Okay, so then he said, now listen, okay, this is supposed to be from Kendra, okay? The court needs to understand that I have sole physical custody of our two youngest kids, and Jacob can see them through professional supervised visits, but he refuses. I signed up 6 times for supervised visits and mediation, dude, and it kept getting canceled. The reason why all this happened is because I asked for emergency custody orders, and I was going to take my kids to Kaiser Permanente Medical Center. I was going to take my kids to another hospital, and Judge Gibson freaked out. So he took Jackson Ava, because Jackson Ava were getting abused over there. Okay, they took Jackson Ava, and then they couldn't justify taking Jace from me because I had full custody of Jace. So this is January. Kendra's only had sole physical and legal custody for 3 months of the kids. And it's really for no reason. But the fact that they would use that in a declaration as if like she's been this responsible mother for this entire time, that she has sole physical and legal custody of my two youngest children, and that the courts need to understand that when they say like the court needs to understand that, they're justifying taking my kids. They're justifying it. And what's happening is, and then what I've noticed when I finally got copies of the case file and I started going through it, like all of these declarations are total nonsense. But not only that, they're filed now in the court. They're filed in the court, and so this is what a judge is going to see, or this is the narrative that a judge is going to see. So when another judge, or a judge from outside the area, judicial council or whatever, they're going to read this. They're going to read this narrative, this statement, right, as a declaration that Kendra filed on her behalf, but Kendra didn't file this. Okay, this is filed to justify their decision. And then that's why my videos of me and my son talking, and then the other videos that I have, are so important, because my son's literally saying that he's been, his mom's not answering the phone. He hasn't talked to his brother and sister. That was the reason why he locked himself in the room when he was up there, right? He talks about talking to the Anderson Police Department, and Anderson Police Department, telling Kendra that she needed to bring Jackson Ava to the visit so he could see them, right? The supervised visits, that happened months after the kids came up missing. Like, and when I mean missing, I mean like if my kids can't call me and just let me know they're okay, that's abduction. And Reading Police Department and Anderson Police Department refused to enforce the law, and I believe it's because they knew that they were getting abused over there, and they didn't want me to be able to get help. And so those police officers that showed up at my house and took my oldest son, they're accountable for abduction. And Stephanie Bridget needs to wake up, and she needs to do something about this, or they can all go to prison. Thank you.